The story opens with humanity's most daring and controversial step yet, sending an official delegation to the Deathworld Council, a gathering of some of the most feared and battle-hardened species in the galaxy. The Council's name alone evokes dread. It is hosted on a planet known simply as Deathworld, a place where the environment itself is a relentless predator. Vast deserts of razor-sharp crystal, toxic acid rains, and monstrous fauna make the planet almost uninhabitable for any but the toughest species. Yet here, amid ruins of ancient fortresses and fortified encampments, the Council convenes, a testament to survival at any cost. Humanity's arrival is no small feat. Their ship, the ISV Perseverance, limps through the hostile atmosphere, showing visible scars from a recent brutal expedition. The ship carries more than just diplomats. Inside sealed and heavily guarded cargo bays are several containers labeled simply as bodies. These bodies are the remains of fallen explorers from a recent expedition to a similarly hostile world, a planet humanity has only just begun to explore. The nature of their deaths is mysterious, and rumors swirl among the Council delegates. The Council itself is a diverse and intimidating assembly. There are the Cataracts, insectoid warriors with impenetrable exoskeletons; the Velnari, reptilian strategists known for ruthless cunning; the Orax, massive, horned behemoths whose strength alone commands respect; and several others, each species a product of brutal survival on their own death worlds. Their eyes, mandibles, claws, and voices all reflect suspicion as they watch the humans arrive. Whispers ripple through the gathered delegates. Some wonder if humanity is reckless. Some believe humans too weak to survive. Others fear what human adaptability might bring. The humans' representative, Commander Lyra Kale, steps forward, with calm determination. Her speech is brief but firm. Humanity seeks peaceful relations, trade, and knowledge sharing. The Deathworld Council's recognition would mean security, alliances, and legitimacy for humanity's expanding presence in the galaxy. Yet beneath her composed exterior lies the awareness that trust here is fragile, and the cargo her ship carries only complicates matters. As the Council votes whether to allow the humans to dock fully and present their case, tension thickens. Several delegates argue that the sealed containers aboard the Perseverance pose a potential threat. Some claim that bringing dead bodies from such a dangerous expedition could carry unknown pathogens or curses. The humans insist that strict quarantine protocols are in place, and that the bodies hold valuable data about alien environments. The debate is fierce, but ultimately the Council grants conditional permission. The humans can proceed but under strict supervision. The atmosphere is heavy with distrust and unease. The Deathworld Council's rituals and customs emphasize strength, survival, and cunning. Humanity's presence disrupts the fragile balance, stirring old rivalries and new fears. For many species here, death is a constant companion. For humans, death is a mystery to be unraveled. The presence of those bodies, silent and frozen in time, becomes a symbol of both human vulnerability and tenacity. As the humans disembark, they feel eyes watching their every move. The deadly planet itself seems to breathe around them, the wind whispering secrets of past battles and ancient betrayals. The story's tension builds as the humans prepare to prove they belong, or risk being cast out, or worse, the uneasy. Truce granted by the Deathworld Council at the end of Part 1 sets the stage for a tense, fraught interaction, as the humans prepare to reveal the mysterious cargo aboard their ship, the sealed containers holding the bodies of fallen explorers. The Council's members, a mix of hardened warriors and calculating diplomats, remain on edge. The tension is palpable as the humans comply with the Council's demand for an inspection, even as they plead for time, citing strict quarantine protocols necessary to ensure no contamination spreads. Commander Lyra Kyle and her scientific team find themselves at the center of a political storm. The Council delegates, especially the more suspicious species like the Velnari and Cataracts, push for immediate access, arguing that any delay might hide dangerous secrets or allow the humans to sabotage the investigation. Tempers flare. In heated debates, voices rising with accusations that humanity might be smuggling bioweapons or even worse, forbidden alien technology. Reluctantly, under heavy guard and surveillance, the humans agree to open the containers. The air thickens with anticipation and fear as the lids are pried open, revealing the preserved bodies inside. These are not merely corpses. The explorers had been cryogenically preserved to halt decay, with their suits and gear intact. The sight evokes mixed reactions among the council: pity, suspicion, curiosity, and horror. The humans explain the expedition was to study an extremely hostile alien planet with deadly native flora and fauna, and that these fallen comrades had succumbed to unknown causes during their mission. But what immediately alarms the council is the strange condition of the bodies. Under close examination, subtle signs of an unknown infection or disease become evident: discoloration beneath the skin, faint bioluminescent patterns, and peculiar cellular anomalies detected by the Council's advanced scanning technology. This infection defies known medical science, spreading invisibly and quickly, and appears unlike any virus or parasite documented in the galaxy. Whispers grow louder that this infection may not be natural at all. Some speculate it could be a bioengineered weapon, a weaponized plague deliberately unleashed to destabilize or wipe out entire species. Others consider it a curse, a mysterious ancient force tied to the alien planet itself, a punishment for trespassing on forbidden grounds. Among the Council, a faction grows increasingly hostile toward humanity, accusing them of recklessness, or worse, intentional provocation. The Council's security chiefs push to quarantine the humans immediately and isolate the ship. The humans, however, argue that understanding the infection is vital to protecting the galaxy and themselves. Commander Kale appeals for cooperation, offering to share all available data and assist in finding a cure or containment method. The Council's presiding elder, a towering Orax named Thraxor, demands proof of humanity's good faith. He orders a joint investigation. Humans and Council scientists will work together in a controlled environment to study the infection, using the most advanced biolabs the Deathworld can provide. The humans agree, knowing this is their only chance to build trust. But beneath the surface of this uneasy alliance, tension simmers. Some Council members are determined to use this crisis to justify harsher measures against humans, or to leverage the situation to gain political power within the Council. Others fear the infection could spread beyond containment and bring catastrophe to the entire galaxy. The story's mystery deepens. What exactly is this infection? Where did it come from? Is it natural, engineered, or supernatural? And most importantly, can humanity and the Deathworld Council set aside their distrust to face the coming storm together? The stage is set for a perilous investigation with high stakes. Lives, alliances, and the fate of multiple species hang in the balance. Following the tense unveiling of the infected bodies, Part 3 thrusts the characters into a rapidly escalating crisis. Despite the strict quarantine protocols imposed by both the humans and the Deathworld Council, the mysterious infection begins to reveal its horrifying nature. It's far more aggressive, cunning, and deadly than anyone had anticipated. The joint research teams, composed of human scientists and Council biologists, work tirelessly in the advanced biolabs provided by the Council. The labs are state-of-the-art but strained under the pressure of studying an unknown pathogen that defies all known medical theories. The infection's behavior is perplexing. It spreads through microscopic airborne spores that are almost impossible to detect, and it appears to manipulate host physiology in unnatural ways. The initial sense of cooperation and cautious optimism quickly devolves into chaos. The first signs of infection manifest unexpectedly. A minor Council official succumbs suddenly, convulsing violently before transforming into a terrifying creature that attacks everyone nearby. This horrifying event shatters the fragile calm, triggering panic among the Council delegates and the human crew alike. Security measures instantly escalate. Quarantine zones are reinforced with deadly force, and the Council's elite enforcers, known as the Death Guards, are mobilized to contain the outbreak. The infected, however, exhibit alarming resilience, adapting rapidly to attempts at containment and showing aggressive predatory behavior. The infection is no longer just a disease. It has become a living horror that threatens the entire council. Amid this chaos, the humans' diplomatic standing is threatened. Many council members point fingers at humanity, accusing them of bringing a bioweapon into the council's midst. Old prejudices flare, with some delegates demanding that humans be expelled or even destroyed to prevent further contamination. Commander Lyra Kale fights to maintain order, pleading that the infection was an unintended consequence of exploration, not a deliberate attack. Meanwhile, inside the quarantine zone, a team of human and council scientists led by Kale's second-in-command races against time to analyze the infection's progression. They discovered disturbing evidence that the infection not only kills but rewrites the host's biology, enhancing strength, speed, and aggression, effectively turning the infected into living weapons. The transformation is both physical and mental, erasing memories and replacing them with primal hostility. As the infection spreads, the council's internal politics spiral into chaos. Some factions see the outbreak as an opportunity to settle old scores, while others seek to broker uneasy alliances to survive. The Deathworld itself seems to echo the crisis. Storms lash the planet, and native predators grow restless, sensing the upheaval among the council's inhabitants. In a desperate bid to contain the infection, the human delegation proposes a radical plan to isolate the infected in a remote section of the planet, using the harsh terrain and environmental dangers as a natural quarantine. This plan, however, requires trust and cooperation from the council species, many of whom are reluctant to risk sending their own people into such danger. Amid mounting pressure and casualties, Kale forms a fragile alliance with a few council members known for their pragmatism and respect for strength, including a Catarax warrior named Vesik and a Velnari scientist called Shiral. Together, they begin coordinating containment efforts and searching for clues about the infection's origin, hoping to find a cure before the council, and humanity's place within it, is destroyed. The part ends with a grim realization. The infection is not just a biological threat, but a test of unity and survival. The council's fate, and humanity's future among the galaxy's fiercest species, hangs by a thread, as the deadliest enemy they face might not be the infection itself, but the fear, mistrust, and desperation it unleashes. The infection outbreak, aboard the Deathworld Council seat, plunges the gathering into chaos. But as the immediate threat grows, so do the cracks in trust and alliances. Part 4 shifts focus from the biological horror to the intricate web of political intrigue, betrayals, and secret agendas that threaten to tear the Council and humanity's fragile foothold apart. With the infection still ravaging the population and containment efforts barely holding, accusations fly across the Council chamber. Some species openly blame humanity, accusing the human delegation of smuggling bioweapons to destabilize the Council or gain leverage in future negotiations. Others suspect internal factions within the Council itself orchestrated the outbreak to weaken rivals or seize power amid the turmoil. Commander Lyra Kale faces mounting hostility. She must navigate the Council's labyrinth of suspicion while maintaining her delegation's honor and survival. As whispers of conspiracy grow louder, Kyle orders a covert investigation to uncover the truth behind the infection's origin and the circumstances of the human expedition that brought the infected bodies to the Council. The investigation reveals disturbing evidence: traces of tampering on the human ship's cargo manifests, encrypted communications hinting at sabotage, and anomalies in the infection's biological signatures that suggest it may have been engineered rather than naturally occurring. These revelations deepen the distrust toward humanity, fueling calls for harsh reprisals and expulsion. Amid this charged atmosphere, a shocking betrayal emerges. One of the human delegation's own scientists, Dr. Aylin Voss, is discovered communicating secretly with a shadowy faction within the Council. Voss's motivations remain unclear. Is she a traitor working to undermine the humans, or a double agent attempting to infiltrate a dangerous conspiracy? Her arrest sends shockwaves through both sides, fracturing the human team and shaking the Council's fragile order. Meanwhile, rival factions within the Council seize the opportunity to advance their own agendas. The Velnari faction, led by the calculating diplomat Isara, pushes for a complete quarantine of the humans and tighter security measures, hoping to isolate and weaken humanity's influence. Conversely, a coalition of pragmatic species, including the Honorable Catarax warrior Vesic, advocate for cooperation, arguing that unity is the only way to survive the crisis. As distrust escalates, the infection continues its deadly march, further straining resources and morale. Sabotage strikes critical infrastructure. Power grids flicker, medical supplies vanish, and communication lines are disrupted. The Council's leadership teeters on the brink of collapse, and the shadow of civil war looms. In this atmosphere of paranoia, Commander Kale and her newfound allies work covertly to uncover the mastermind behind the infection's release. Their search leads them into the underbelly of the Deathworld city, where secrets are bought and sold, and loyalties shift like sand. Clues point toward a disgraced council member exiled years ago for crimes against the council, a figure with a deep grudge and access to forbidden bioengineering knowledge. The alliance between humans and select council members strengthens as they realize the infection is less a natural disaster and more a weapon of vengeance aimed at destabilizing the entire council. But with every step closer to the truth, dangers multiply. Assassination attempts, misinformation campaigns, and traps threaten to derail their mission. The climax of Part 4 is a tense confrontation where Commander Kale and her allies uncover a conspiracy that shakes the foundations of the Deathworld Council itself. The infection's release was deliberate, meant to ignite chaos and redraw the power map of the galaxy's deadliest species. As the part closes, the stakes have never been higher. The infection is no longer just a biological threat, but a political weapon, and the survival of the Council, and humanity's place within it, depends on exposing the traitors before the entire assembly collapses into war. Following the shocking revelations of Part 4, the Deathworld Council plunges into full-scale crisis. The infection, now confirmed as a weaponized biological agent deliberately unleashed, has fractured the Council's fragile unity and sparked violent confrontations. Part 5 focuses on the desperate fight for survival, not just against the spreading infection, but against the internal chaos and betrayal threatening to tear the Council apart. The Council's halls, once a place of guarded diplomacy, become battlegrounds. Infected creatures, twisted by the pathogen into lethal predators, roam freely through corridors and plazas, attacking any living being they encounter. Panic spreads faster than the infection itself. Security forces from multiple species struggle to maintain order, but with the enemy both inside and out, their efforts prove insufficient. Commander Lyra Kale rallies the human delegation and a coalition of Council loyalists determined to restore order and save lives. The alliance includes Catarax warriors, Velnari scientists, and other species who recognize that survival depends on cooperation, not factionalism. Together, they establish fortified zones where uninfected members of the Council can regroup, receive medical treatment, and plan their counterattack. Amid the chaos, a new threat emerges. Extremist factions within the Council who see the outbreak as divine retribution or an opportunity to purge perceived enemies. These groups launch brutal raids on rival species, deepening the conflict and complicating the effort to contain the infection. The fragile alliance struggles to hold together as violence spirals out of control. Inside the human medical labs, Kale's scientific team races to develop a cure or vaccine. Their progress is hindered by sabotage and limited resources, but breakthroughs emerge when they discover the infection's weaknesses, a rare enzyme present in Deathworld's native flora that can neutralize the pathogen's effects. Harvesting this enzyme requires dangerous expeditions into the planet's most hostile regions, risking more lives. Kale volunteers to lead one of these expeditions, understanding that time is running out. The team battles poisonous storms, carnivorous plants, and deadly fauna to secure the enzyme. Their journey is a harrowing testament to human resilience and adaptability, earning grudging respect from the Council's warriors and scientists who accompany them. Back at the Council seat, the Battle intensifies. The infected masses grow, forcing the coalition to enact harsh measures, forced quarantines, tactical strikes, and containment protocols that strain their resources and morale. Key council members are lost in brutal skirmishes, and the human delegation suffers casualties, including trusted allies. Amidst the violence, Kale's team returns with the enzyme and begins synthesizing an antidote. The cure's initial administration shows promise, halting the infection's progression in a handful of patients and providing a glimmer of hope. However, the cure is limited in supply and slow to produce, forcing difficult decisions about who receives treatment first. The climax of Part 5 is a decisive battle within the Council's central fortress. The Coalition confronts a powerful faction that has seized control of critical areas, using infected creatures as living weapons. The fight is brutal and costly, testing the limits of human and alien endurance alike. Kale's leadership, strategic, insight, and willingness to risk everything become crucial to turning the tide. As the battle ends, the infection's spread is slowed, and order begins to return. But the cost is devastating. Countless lives lost, alliances broken, and trust shattered. The Council faces a long road to recovery, and humanity's role remains precarious. Kale understands that victory in battle is only the first step. True survival depends on healing divisions and forging a new path forward. After the harrowing battle and desperate fight for survival in Part 5, Part 6 opens in the uneasy calm that follows. The Deathworld Council is left scarred and fractured, but with the infection largely contained and a tentative cure beginning to restore hope, a new chapter begins, one defined by cautious rebuilding, lingering mistrust, and uncertain futures. The Council convenes once more, this time in a damaged chamber that bears the marks of the recent conflict. The atmosphere is heavy with grief for the lost and cautious optimism for the future. Commander Lyra Kyle stands at the forefront, representing humanity's battered but resilient delegation. Despite everything, her diplomatic skills and courage throughout the crisis have earned a measure of respect, even from the most skeptical council members. The aftermath reveals the deep cost of the outbreak. Entire species mourn the decimated ranks of their delegations, and old rivalries have deepened, wounds that may take generations to heal. The political landscape has shifted. Some factions have been weakened or eliminated, while new alliances emerge from shared hardship. But beneath the surface, tensions remain high. Some council members still harbor resentment toward humanity, viewing them as the accidental or deliberate cause of the calamity. Amid this fragile peace, investigations continue into the infection's origins and the conspiracy uncovered in Part 4. The truth that the outbreak was engineered as an act of sabotage ripples through the council, prompting calls for justice and reform. However, many voices warn against rash reprisals that could reignite conflict or collapse the fragile peace. Kale pushes for a united approach, advocating for transparency, accountability, and collaboration to prevent such disasters in the future. She proposes new council protocols for exploring hazardous worlds and transporting sensitive biological materials, emphasizing respect for shared safety and mutual trust. The human delegation offers to lead a joint scientific initiative with the Council to study Deathworld ecosystems and develop biosecurity measures, demonstrating humanity's commitment to cooperation. This proposal is met with mixed reactions. Some welcome the chance for renewed partnership, while others remain wary, demanding guarantees and oversight. Meanwhile, the survivors grapple with personal loss and trauma. Kale visits the families of the fallen, honoring their sacrifice and resolving to ensure their deaths were not in vain. Her leadership becomes a symbol of hope, resilience, and the possibility of redemption, not just for humanity, but for the entire council. Yet, shadows linger. Whispers of hidden agendas and unresolved grievances persist in the council's corners. Some factions quietly stockpile weapons, and secret meetings hint at factions preparing for future conflicts. The infection's devastation has changed everything. Trust will be slow to rebuild and peace remains fragile. The story closes with Kale standing on a high ridge overlooking the Deathworld's wild and dangerous landscape. Despite the horrors endured, she feels a spark of hope. a chance to forge new alliances and build a future where different species can coexist, learn from one another, and face shared threats united rather than divided. But in the dark beneath the surface, subtle signs warn that the Council's trials are far from over. The infection may be contained, but the echoes of betrayal, fear, and ambition ensure the legacy of this crisis will shape the galaxy for generations to come.